Today I'm going to show you how to make a homemade, healthier version of Butterfingers. These were one of my favorite candies growing up, and I've always wanted to make a healthier version made with simple ingredients and that are a little bit lower sugar, and I think I finally nailed the recipe. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to make these. We're gonna start off with 1 cup of peanut butter. A lot of people always ask me how I get my peanut butter to just pour this easily. And the trick is you wanna use natural peanut butter. So the only ingredients in this peanut butter is organic dry roasted peanuts. There's nothing else in it. So my advice is to look for a brand that contains only peanuts or peanuts and salt. So we're just gonna pour this into our bowl. Grab my little spoon just to make sure that we get all of it into the bowl. Now I'm gonna add 1/3 cup of pure maple syrup right into our bowl with the peanut butter. Now I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and a nice pinch of salt. Now we're gonna stir this all together until it's fully combined. Especially with that natural peanut butter, it should stir together really nicely and easily. You guys, this already smells so good, so I'm just gonna take this bowl and set it aside for a few minutes while we work on part 2 of the recipe. So next you're gonna grab some frosted corn flakes. I'm using this organic version that I found at the store. You can use whatever you have on hand, but this version only has organic milled corn, organic cane sugar, and sea salt. So I'm gonna take 1 cup of this cereal. Okay, so that is about 1 cup, and I'm just going to add it into a blender. You could also use a food processor, or if you don't have a blender or food processor, you could also just put this into a Ziploc baggie and then grab a cup or whatever you have and kind of crush it up. You just want the cereal to be crushed up when you add it to your bowl. So we have 1 cup of the cornflakes in the blender, and now I'm just gonna add 1/4 cup more. That looks about good. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of peanuts to the blender as well. Now I'm just gonna take the top to the blender, put it on there nice and tightly, and we're just gonna blend this up until it's somewhat crummy. It doesn't need to be fully blended, but you just want it into smaller pieces than it is right now. So I'm just gonna lock this in and press start. So this looks about perfect. As you can see, it's kind of like a thicker flour consistency. Now back to our bowl that has our peanut butter maple syrup mixture. So now we're just gonna take this cornflake and peanut mixture and add it right into our bowl. Now we're gonna mix this together. Wait, it's so funny. It actually smells just like a Butterfingers. So we're just mixing this all together until it is fully combined. I am so excited about these. I have a feeling they're gonna be so good. So how I created this recipe was I looked up what the original Butterfingers ingredients were. And obviously they add some things like preservatives and artificial colors and things that we don't want to add in there. But I basically took the base of the recipe that the actual Butterfingers use in their ingredient list, and I kind of chose healthier, more simple ingredients to use in place of those. And that's how I created this recipe. So fingers crossed it works and it actually tastes like a real Butterfingers. I have high hopes based on how good it smells. So this is what you want your dough mixture to look like. It's nice and thick, but this is about the consistency that you're gonna be going for. So I just have a baking sheet here lined with some parchment paper. You could also use a plate or any sort of tray lined with parchment paper. You're just gonna wanna make sure that it's able to fit inside your freezer. So now I'm taking my cookie scoop and I'm just gonna scoop out some of the dough, and I'm just gonna roll it into a ball just to get it nice and smooth. And then from here, I'm just gonna kind of form it into a bar. So it doesn't need to be perfect, but just somewhat of a bar shape is what you're going for here. So this looks about good, and we'll get started on the next one. So I just roll it into a ball to smooth it out a little bit, and then you can start forming it into your bar shape. Doesn't matter if they're all the same size or not. I actually like to make them different sizes because one day I might be craving a larger bar, one day I want more of a smaller bite. So totally does not matter if they're not all perfectly the same size. So Butterfingers have always been one of my favorite candies growing up, although I don't eat them quite as often anymore, just because I like to stick to more simple ingredients when I can. So I am super excited about this recipe because it was one of my favorites growing up. I especially love a Butterfinger twister is what I call it, but you might call it a blizzard. But that soft serve ice cream with Butterfingers in it is my favorite. So if these turn out good, I will have to make a homemade ice cream to go with them. I have to say, I think I'm nailing the Butterfinger shape if I do say so myself. What was your favorite candy growing up? Leave it in the comments, and maybe I can make a healthier version if anyone has any requests. So let me know what your favorite candy was growing up, and we'll try to make a healthier version of it. All right, we are forming the last one. This makes about 14 bars, or it would make more, obviously, if you made them a little bit smaller, or you could make them more like king-size bars, but obviously it would make less than 14. Our bars are all formed, and now I'm just gonna set these in the freezer for a little while to set. So our Butterfingers bars just came out of the freezer. They were in the freezer for about 1 hour, and now we're gonna melt some chocolate to dip them in. So we have our chocolate chips, and I'm just gonna add these into the bowl. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but we're gonna do about 1 cup to 1.5 cups. Actually, you know what? I think we're gonna do a little bit more. We have a lot of bars. I'm also adding in a spoonful of coconut oil to help melt the chocolate. Now I'm gonna place this in the microwave for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to stir it all up and then probably microwave for another 30 seconds or until the chocolate is fully melted. Now we're just gonna take each one of our Butterfingers bars and dip it into our melted chocolate. Oh my gosh, these are gonna be so good, I can already tell. So we're just taking each one and dipping it into the chocolate until it is fully covered. So I'm just flipping it over once, making sure all the sides are covered in chocolate. And then I'm just wiping the excess on the side of the bowl. Then it's going back onto our parchment paper lined tray. So I'm gonna repeat this with each bar. I definitely melted enough chocolate for these. So if your chocolate's too thick and you're having trouble dipping the bars in them, you can always add a little bit more coconut oil, and that will help to thin out the chocolate. I had to add a little bit extra just to make the chocolate a little bit more drizzly. These bars are looking so good. They're perfectly shiny. They're gonna be so delicious. So dipping these last couple into our melted chocolate. Alrighty, last one. And because I have a little bit of leftover melted chocolate, I'm gonna add a little bit more on top just to make these look really pretty. So we're just drizzling this chocolate on top of each bar, and I think that adds just a nice little touch. Finishing up the last 2 here. Now I'm gonna set these back in the freezer to harden, and then they'll be ready to go. Our Butterfingers bars just came out of the freezer. I cannot wait to dig in. So I just removed all of the Butterfingers bars from the tray and put them on this plate. I think they look so good. They are the perfect Butterfinger size and shape. Now for the final test, we're gonna break into them and see if they taste like the original. All right, you guys, my mouth is literally watering, so let's do a taste test. Oh my gosh, guys. You guys, I hate to say it, but I think these taste even better than regular Butterfingers. They are so good. The texture is on point. If you guys try these, you're gonna have to let me know what you think and how they stack up to a regular Butterfingers.